Good evening. You're watching the Artist Forum. My name is Ellie Fordyce, and I will be your host for this segment. This evening, I'm very, very happy to be up at Worldviews, which is a wonderful art exhibit and presentation that the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council has been putting on here at the World Trade Center, #1 building, World Trade Center. And I have with us tonight Mukhtar Kokash. And Mukhtar, can you tell us something about this program and your involvement with it?
Sure. This is actually an artist residency program. Artists apply to and are selected by a jury to be in residence on the 91st floor for a period of approximately 6 months. And it's a raw space. It's a shared studio experience for approximately 15 to 20 artists. And they get to work in this environment. Some people paint the views, some people work on issues of corporate culture, some people are interested in issues of scale, others meditate and do very ephemeral works, because as you can imagine, the views are very inspiring and the light is very beautiful. This program was actually started as it is 3 years ago. However, approximately 4 years ago, an experiment to have artists in the World Trade Center was initiated by an artist called Carl Scorza, and who approached the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council about the desire to paint from the World Trade Center during the winter because it was convenient and the World Trade Center would offer spectacular views. So an experiment was carried out with the help of Graham Nixon, who is the dean at the studio school, New York Studio School. And approximately 15 artists were selected. They painted individually in different spaces throughout both towers. And they never got a chance to meet and talk. And some people painted for a period of a week. Some others stayed for as long as 8 months. And when I joined the organization, the council 3 years ago, we tried to create a more consistent experience, 2 cycles a year, a winter and a summer cycle, and have the artists be together in sort of a community where they can exchange ideas, inspire each other, collaborate perhaps, and at least have the opportunity to break out of the solitary experience of making art in a studio apartment in the city.
We are having the great privilege of speaking with a wonderful artist here at the World Trade Center, and her name is Sally Gutierrez. Did I say that correctly, Sally?
Yes, you did. Sally Gutierrez, right.
Thank you. And we'd like to hear a little about you. How did you get your start in art?
Well, I've been working in art for quite a while. I studied art in Madrid University, and then I went to Berlin and studied in the art school there for a while. And then I came to New York 2 years ago on a Fulbright grant, and then was in the Whitney program, and now I'm in this residency. So I've been working in art for quite a few years now.
That sounds like an incredible breadth of experience. Can you tell us something about this current show and how you got involved with it?
Yeah, I was. Well, this is a really interesting residency, and as I've been working for the last months. With the idea of the window and the windows in New York, I started a project in the Whitney program where I made these photographs of what people place at their objects, and asked curators and writers to choose an image and write for it. And that was the first part of this project. And here I've been interviewing people who work in the World Trade Center. I've been filming video from the windows for a video that I'm shooting that's going to be called City Game Television. And then another project that you have here is I've sent emails out to a lot of people from all over the world, asking them just to write me a text or an image with what they see from their window. And so this is what you can see, the emails here, and here you can see a combination of the text that they send with an image that I take from my own window the same day. So here the text and the photographs. The text and the photographs aren't really the only relation that they have, is that it's the same day, but it's like what I see from my window and what they tell me that they see from their window. So this is the 2 projects, and then the window project, where it was kind of like an ironical commentary about the height and the hierarchy of the height and the idealized way that one sees the city from here. And the fact that the space is like, this whole building is like very corporate and has this kind of distance, like desire with the city. So that's why I made that installation to where the curtains move as if you could open the windows, and also in a way make the space domestic.
And just for our viewers, we are on the 91st floor of the #1 building of the World Trade Center. That is what Sally's referring to about the windows. Tell us a little about what you are expecting to do in the near future.
Well, I have a lot of projects. I always have like parallel projects. I have a solo show in Williamsburg in a gallery called Parker's Box, a very nice space right now. So I'm going to be spending a little bit more time there, and some friends and, you know, people are going to be visiting that show because I've been concentrating on this one right now. And then I'm very pleased because I just won a prize from the Fundación Retevisión in Barcelona for a project of art and technology, and I presented this project of the window, so it's going to be turned into a website, and I'm going to be working with a programmer to make that. So that's a project. And then I have a show in Berlin coming up in May. And well, I'm working on, and I'm also my videos have a lot to do with documentary. I make like short fragmentary videos that have been in quite a few places, and I'm making a new piece of that. So I have a lot of projects. I always have too much work, but it's great.
Well, congratulations on all of that and on your awards and all of your projects. Can you tell us if there's anybody in our viewing audience that could get involved and could be of help to you? What is it that you most would like or most need at this point for your future progress?
I need more technology. I need more technology because it's always hard. You always need a better computer to edit your videos, and a camera, like this whole thing of if you have a PAL camera, then you can't use it in New York because you need an NTSC. So I guess this is one of those things that I do need. And then, as always, support and exposure and everything. But it's going well. I'd like people to go see my shows, see my work.
Absolutely, and I recommend that very highly. Would you have some advice for young artists that are trying to get started or trying to move forward?
I just think that you have to really work very, very hard, and just be concentrated on what you're doing, and not just to be too dispersed about the whole politics of the art world. We
have been talking with Sally Gutierrez, and this is the Artist Forum. Thank you very much. We're going to be speaking with Torsten Burns, one of the terrific artists here. Can you tell us a little more about your beginnings as an artist?
Yeah, I have a background in performance and video, primarily doing graduate work in San Francisco Art Institute in the early 90s, and I continued on living in California in Oakland. And during that time, I primarily made single-channel tapes, shooting tapes that incorporate the body and architecture together. So with that, there'd be video fictions and photographic residue from videos, video stills, and later on in the mid-90s up until now, been trying to incorporate sculptural material, trying to recreate some of the video tapes into a physicalized form, which you can see in the studio here. So to that end, I've been working on an installation. This installation is called Life Space, and it's a sequel to another installation I'm just finished called Galactica, and it involves basically creating micro vehicles. So the vehicles in this installation were baby carriages, one part of them, which I found scattered and littered all the way through Brooklyn, basically. So most of the materials in the studio were found in Greenpoint. Basically every day coming home and finding one or two baby carriages on the street. And so I've been basically putting together these pieces, creating these vehicle systems, and then incorporating the body into them, performing movements, and building the fictions inside this space by shooting performance with them. Other props you see here also came from Home Depot, which I think is kind of the ongoing museum of the future and place to, that I get props from. And so you can see that using a lot of hygiene equipment, tubs, shower, paraphernalia, and they're all self-referential. The body, I use the body with them and then create these videotapes in front in this particular setup. So.
That is fascinating, and I must say I enjoy your sense of humor within your art. Now, can you tell us a little about what's coming up in the near future?
Well, I'm continuing to shoot video. This is an ongoing series of video installations, and the next one's going to be called Residency, actually. And so the strategy so far is to take a little bit of video and sculptural material from each past installation and keep, discarding some of it and then adding new bits of it into a new form. And the new themes I'm working on have to do with creating a kind of quasi training agency or station where characters would be training for something. It could be kind of like a space station or some other kind of job that maybe doesn't have a title yet, some sort of movement worker or something like that. And they're kind of quasi science fiction in nature. So I'm going to continue shooting hopefully soon when I acquire a new space.
That is fabulous. Torsten, can you give us some advice, some words of wisdom for other young artists that would like to get into this sort of a program or would like to move further into their art?
Yeah, just, work creates work. And just, don't, as far as I'm concerned, I use technology in my work, but I'm a real advocate of mixing technologies, using low-end technologies, fusing them with high-end. So, use the, VHS, work with whatever material you have. And as far as the residencies go, I've applied personally in my background about 3 or 4 times for every residency that I have had the fortune to get into, including this space here. So you have to just keep absolutely creating new work and creating context, for yourself, and then taking slides endlessly and create residue that you can keep showing people. Yeah, that's what I've done.
Persistence. We hear that over and over. Now, if someone out here in video land is watching that can help you, what would be the things that you most need and want to progress further? Space,
I think this context was amazing because it was an alternative kind of space to work in, which you could feed off of, even if I wasn't looking out the World Trade windows every day, but to be involved in new kinds of indoor or outdoor spaces that you just don't normally have access to, I think is really key, is really important. And to be embedded inside like a financial center, which maybe I would never go to, the 91st floor, was really important psychologically, and just it was a real strange, endlessly strange experience, and wonderful to participate in. So I think if people, perhaps funding issues so that people can go away to residencies, I think is really important and key, in meeting new people, but maybe having organizations, subsidize rent or something so that you could experience some of these places, out in the country.
Thank you very much. Words of wisdom from Torsten Burns. My name is Ellie Fordyce, and this is the Artist Forum. Can you tell us, Mukhtar, a little about the importance of this type of a program and of how this affects the art world in New York?
This program is very unique in that there are other programs in the city that provide studio space for artists and give them opportunity to produce their work. What this program does is not only give artists the opportunity to have space and interact with each other and receive exposure, since at the end of each cycle we open up the studios to the public, but we also invite critics and curators and writers and people in the art world to come and visit the studios and look at the art and talk to the artists. But what its uniqueness is about the fact that it's here in the World Trade Center, and there's a site-specific component to the program, and what that specificity is all about the city and Manhattan and what it represents, both in the American sort of psyche and as an icon of our culture, and how how we represent ourselves internationally to the world as well. There's something magnificent and unique about the World Trade Center. Represents the effort that the American energy and drive has managed to, how we've managed to create this country, build this unique city. And that's a really great place for artists and thinkers and critics to visit and stay here in this in these studios and try to analyze and think about these issues. It's a very provides you with a unique perspective on what the city is all about and what the human component and the human initiative is in creating sort of an overall and a grand scheme situation like our city, like the New York City.
And right now we're here at Worldviews at the World Trade Center with Hoon Kim, a wonderful artist. Hoon, tell us something about your background, your past in art.
Yes. Actually, I came from Korea, Daegu, third biggest city in Korea. Actually, I came to 1997 to study School of Visual Arts, MFA, photography, and related media. Now I just got this great opportunity to meet many non-profit people or great curator or critics.
Can you tell our audience a little bit about what this piece is about and what it means to you?
Yes, this piece called Electric City 3, because I want to try to make Manhattan City when we have blackout. It's my very old experience, but I try to make Manhattan City blackout since 1978, because Manhattan has bunch of electric wires, Times Square, even big building like computer circuit city, who control turn on, turn off. Also, electric wire never stop. It goes to all over the world. So actually, I got this idea inspired from Bible. The God made the sun, human made electricity. Electricity has imperfection, like blackout, but city Manhattan never stop, never die, like bleeding, 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 human body.
Your perspective of Manhattan, fascinating, from somebody from Korea. So tell us what you might have coming up in the near future for your artwork.
Yes, since 1997, I try to make electric environment, our human environment. So next step is to make electric interactive things. To me, 110 volt means 110 wavelengths, but we cannot see wavelengths, but when we touch, we die. So I want to put color on wavelengths. Also, I want to try to 110 switch this gallery room, and then people can touch, turn on light, making different sound. It's kind of a new environment of feeling.
Hoon, that's fascinating, and thank you very much. Now, if somebody's watching our show this evening that could be of help to you,
Yes.
what would you ask for? What would be something that would really help you progress into your future as an artist?
Yeah, this is a very important question. Actually, my goal is to make electric rainbow. Number one, World Trade Center. Number two, World Trade Center. I want to, in between, make bridge. So people work number 1 to 2, 2 to 1. So it's my 10-year goals. Actually, I want to study architect at Cooper Union, but I don't know I can get in or not. First, when I go to school, I want to make building. Actually, we hide electric wire behind the wall, behind the bottom of ceiling, but I want to take out on the visibly. It's a good kind of design. We don't have to hide anymore, reveal, exposed to our earth. So it's my new kind of architect form. So in 10 years, I try to make worldwide sponsor to make electric rainbow because God made a rainbow to make peace, to make up. It's kind of a very good things. So I try to make rainbow between number 1 World Trade Center, number 2 World Trade Center. It's my life goal.
A rainbow between number 1 and number 2 World Trade Center building. That is fabulous. Can you give some advice to other young artists who would like to get started or make more progress than they're making?
Yes, actually I came from Korea. I studied the photography, sculpture, painting, whatever things, but I'm still hunger artist. I don't have money, I don't have material, but I have only dream. So who gonna care? But it doesn't matter, I care myself. So I do every 24 hours thinking about artwork. But when I make, the more I make artwork, the more I have to concern about myself. So it's a really good thing. So I try to advise to younger artists just to keep going, don't stop, like me. Like we have a very good evidence, lots of evidences. We had a bunch of masters. They already, when they young, they really hungered. It's the same thing. So don't stop, keep going. It's all my advice.
Thank you very much. That's wonderful advice. If you're an artist and you have a dream, don't stop. Those are words of wisdom from Hoon Kim.
This is Mukhtar Kokash from the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council, and you're watching the Artists Forum.
We are speaking with, in this very intimate setting, Sanford Biggers, a wonderful artist.
I'm an artist from Los Angeles, California, and I've been living in New York for around 2 years now. I'm a sculptor, mixed media artist. I often incorporate various aspects of performance, video, sound, as well as sculpture to produce installations. And my present body of work derives a lot of its themes from African sculptures as well as Asian sculptures and spiritual concepts.
That sounds very exciting. Can you give us some of your background, how you got started in this kind of artwork?
Well, I was trained as a painter, and I started painting using oil paints around 13 years old or so. And it sort of came from music. I used to play piano as a child, and when I got to a level where I could no longer play what I was wanting to play, which was jazz music, I started to paint pictures of the musicians I was listening to, like Miles Davis and Thelonious Monk and so on. And that was the early, those were the early themes I was working on with my paintings. Around 10 years later, I started to play around with sculptural ideas in three-dimensional space and found that sometimes abstract sculpture or figurative sculpture was a better way of displaying the ideas that were in my head. It created environments as opposed to representations, and it was a better way for me to create a more sensory experience for the viewer and for myself.
Well, I'm fascinated with that, being a jazz vocalist myself.
Oh, okay.
And I would love to hear more about how you got involved with this particular program.
In New York, studio space, as well as space in general, is always very difficult and very expensive. And for artists, luckily there are some organizations that help us to have places to work and present our work that take the financial burden off of us and also present us to a larger pool of viewers which we may not by ourselves be able to generate or find. And the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council has one of these residency programs called World Views, where they accept around 15, 16 artists twice a year, where we are able to come here to an open, raw space and create any type of work which we desire, which is later, at the end of our 5-month tenure, displayed in an open studio exhibition.
And it is really outstanding, and it's wonderful to see your work because it is such a contrast to what is right immediately around it. So tell us, what have you got coming up in the near future?
Well, I have a few shows. I'll be in the Freestyle show at the Studio Museum in Harlem later this month, as well as 2 shows in Chicago and a show at the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts in San Francisco. And that's all this spring, and later in the year, various shows throughout New York and Europe and Hong Kong as well.
Congratulations. How would you recommend young artists go about improving their own particular level, and what is some advice that you might give, words of wisdom that you might share with them?
Well, I would say for every artist, it's very important to, first of all, stay focused and steadfast to your practice, whatever it may be. Keep your eyes open, see what's around you, and then be able to close your eyes sometimes and see just what you want to see. Make sure that you follow your own vision and don't just fall into trends and ideas that are out there, and be able to take criticism and then get better at taking criticism to realize what criticism really does work for you and which you know does not work for you. So being critical of criticism at times and being able to self-analyze, and but at the same time staying open, because you never know where a great idea or a good concept can come from. And always practice, whether it be in the sketchbook or painting or sculpting in clay, whatever it may be, keep practicing. And even if that's not the end result you're looking for, those ideas that you touch on while practicing come through in the later projects.
Terrific words of wisdom from Sanford Biggers. Now, if somebody is watching this evening that gets fascinated by your work and by you and can help you, what would you ask for?
Well, I'd ask for an honest opinion of what they are receiving visually from my work, and an honest opinion of what they are receiving conceptually from my work, and to see if those both meet and if they're consistent with each other. For me, it's very important that form and concept follow each other, and not one outshining the other, unless that is exactly what you're trying to do, but then it should be obvious that that's what you're trying to do. I would also, I'd ask for some money for a nice large studio where I can work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, so I wouldn't have to worry about that anymore. Where I can create works that range from large to small to anywhere in between.
It's been a pleasure to speak with you, and it's been a pleasure to present Sanford Biggers. We are at Worldviews on the 91st floor of the World Trade Center, building number 1, and we have been at a fabulous art show. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing all of that information with our viewers. I'm sure that many of our viewers are artists in various media and will be fascinated by what you've had to tell us, and we've enjoyed sharing it with you. This is the Artist Forum. I'm Ellie Fordyce.